Welcome back to the third session of the day on the topic Inventory Optimization Professional Prospective Career in Industry by Mr. Venkadesh Narayanan, Principal Business Consultant, Physics Business Solutions, Chennai. I take immense pleasure in introducing Mr. Venkadesh Narayanan to the participants. He is the president at Product Development and Management Association India, an Indian affiliate of PDMA USA. He is a mechanical engineer and an MBA with over 30 years of experience in consulting, business plan, business strategy, standard operating procedure, business analysis, new product development, supply chain management, and process improvement. He is a recognized instructor of APICS USA and CIPS UK. Mr. Narayanan is also credited with the application of business analysis in Tamil movies and one of the factors behind several blockbuster movies such as Tani Oruvan in 2015, Velekaran in 2017, and Mersal in 2017. Times of India recognized his contribution through an article in the newspaper titled, In a First of Its Kind, Tamil Director Uses Business Analysis to Enhance a Script. Mr. Narayanan supported the following organization in their business process improvement: Flipkart Bengaluru, Carborundum Universal Limited Chennai, TVS Electronics Chennai, CI Chennai, to name a few. Teaching is one of his favorite passion. He teaches at Bardhasan Institute of Management, Trichy, and is also a visiting faculty at SSN School of Management. He is also a honorary director of Kingmakers IAS Academy that prepares graduates to Indian Civil Services examination. We are indeed delighted to have you here for the workshop. On behalf of the workshop conveners, I take immense pleasure in welcoming Mr. Venkadesh Narayanan to present his lecture. Over to you, sir.
Hello friends, welcome to this webinar on inventory optimization. This webinar is in alignment with Certified Inventory Optimization Professional Certification based on Inventory Management Body of Knowledge IMBOK V2.0 from Integrated Institute of Supply Chain Management. The objective is to introduce an amazing career path in supply chain management and inventory. I am your host Venkadesh Narayanan, working as Principal Consultant at Physics Business Consultants Private Limited. I have about 30 years of experience in supply chain management, consulting and training. Let us get started with our 7 points agenda. First, I will briefly introduce IASCM. Then we will have a detailed discussion on supply chain model. Next, we will answer some of the fundamental questions on inventory in All About Inventory. Later, we will unravel the objectives of inventory optimization. Then we will delve into who are all responsible for inventory optimization. During this webinar, I will also briefly introduce you to Inventory Management Body of Knowledge IMBOK V2.0. And finally, we will discuss the CIOP certification process with key elements. Integrated Institute of Supply Chain Management, shortly known as IASCM, is a unit of Physics Business Consultants Private Limited. We offer some of the world-class trainings and certification programs considered as the global best practices in supply chain management, supply chain design, inventory, warehousing, procurement, forecasting, distribution, transportation, and customer service. Certified Inventory Optimization Professional is one such certification, which is the focus of this webinar on inventory optimization. These are all internationally recognized professional certifications which not only enables the professional to gain the knowledge but also equips them with the necessary tools and techniques to transform their business or organization. Supply chain is defined as the network of people, processes, and systems to source, transform, and deliver the materials and products to the customers. Here, the term systems collectively refer to the material handling equipment, warehouses, machineries, transport equipment, and software applications. Please visualize the supply chain at three levels from macro to micro. 1. End to end supply chain. 2. Broader supply chain. 3. Internal supply chain. Let me repeat the three levels of supply chains once again. They are end to end supply chain, broader supply chain, and internal supply chain. Let us discuss a case in point. Bauxite is mined out of a mine in Australia. Then it is transported all the way to the east coast of Africa for cleaning the ore. Once the ore is purified to a great extent, it is transported to the interior of China for smelting to produce aluminium ingots. As you may be aware that to produce aluminium, huge supply of electricity is required. Hence, the aluminium ore is transported to the smelting plants located near the hydroelectric power plants that produces cheap electricity. Then these aluminium ingots go through various companies for further processing to prepare the alloy as per the desired specification. Subsequently, this alloy is rolled into aluminium rods and they are cut into the shape of coins. These coins then sent to can manufacturing companies across the globe where they are cold extruded and made into cans for packing fruit juices. These juice cans then flows through a distribution network and retail stores and finally lands in the hands of consumers like you and me. What we have described here is an end-to-end supply chain. On the other hand, say a company is manufacturing candles and sell it to a leading chain store. One of the main raw materials to the candle manufacturing company is paraffin wax. That part of the supply chain from the paraffin wax supplier to the chain store is called as the broader supply chain. For the same candle company, all the activities that happens inside the organization related to supply chain is called the internal supply chain. It is also referred to as operations. To summarize, internal supply chain is part of the broader supply chain, and the broader supply chain is part of the end to end supply chain. If you draw three concentric circles of three different sizes, the largest one represents the end to end supply chain, the middle circle represents the broader supply chain, and the smallest circle represents the internal supply chain. A basic supply chain is made up of three entities and four flows. The three entities are physical supply, manufacturer, and physical distribution. The manufacturer is denoted as M in the slide. The four flows are product flow, cash flow, information flow, and reverse product flow. The physical supply is represented by a series or web of suppliers and manufacturers who supply the materials, components, and subassemblies, also called as supply side. The physical distribution is responsible for storage and transportation of products until it is delivered to the customer or consumer, also known as demand side. The very purpose of a supply chain is to provide the desired products to the customers. The product flow is the mission of a supply chain, and this is supported by the cash flow, which is why an organization is in the supply chain. So the cash flows in the opposite direction of product flow. The information flow is bidirectional. It flows in both the directions. A customer placing an order in an e-commerce portal checks the availability of a product where the inventory information flows from the e-commerce company to the customer. At the same time, the buying behavior of the customer flows to the e-commerce company. The reverse product flow deals with the product returns from the customer to the manufacturer for various reasons such as repair, recycle, reuse, refurbish, and return. The reverse product flow is opposite to that of product flow. If you recall the end-to-end supply chain example we discussed in the previous slide, we have seen the inventory in various forms, sizes, and values. It started with bauxite, then it became alumina, then aluminum ingots, transformed to aluminum rods, later became coins, cold extruded into cans, and finally became a juice can. All are inventory. In the process, its value increased gradually, and the manufacturers also earn a profit for their contribution. A manufacturer needs different kinds of materials, components to produce desired finished goods. These materials, components, and finished goods are called as inventory. Be it a manufacturing or a trading or a service company, it needs inventory. Inventory is the very purpose the supply chain exists. The whole materialistic world is made up of products which were produced from certain raw materials. Both these raw materials and the products are inventory. So, without supply chains and inventory, the human lifestyle will go back to prehistoric days when we were living as hunters and gatherers and leading our life without these modern comforts. As an individual, all the products you touch and feel every day has followed a long chain of processes called supply chain that transported and transformed a set of raw materials into the finished goods of value to you. When you wake up in the morning and find there is no toothpaste, you rush to the nearby store and buy a toothpaste of your preferred brand. Even before you know you want it, the manufacturer has already produced it and made it available in a store next to your home. Supply chains make our life comfortable by showering a plethora of products on us. Let me introduce a small video clip here that explains the types of inventory and functions of inventory from one of my sessions. How to define inventory? Inventory can be defined using this left-hand rule. We can call this as inventory left-hand rule. And here you are finding these three dimensions. So what I'm trying to say is inventory has to be defined in three dimensions. And the three dimensions are, one is types of inventory, second is functions of inventory, and third is the nature of demand. Now let us deal with this in a detailed manner. Under types, we have raw material, work in progress, finished goods, maintenance, repair, and operating supplies, which is also known as MRO, and then we have distribution inventory. So when we say raw materials, components also part of this, raw materials and components. When we say raw materials and components, these are all the things we have obtained from our suppliers, and we have not added any value so far on top of this. So when we say raw materials and components, these are all things received from the suppliers and which is the predominant input for any manufacturing organization. And now work in progress or work in process. It is called both ways and they are the one and the same. When you say work in process, the moment you take the raw material and you do something on top of that, that becomes work in process, and it continue to be the work in process until it becomes the finished goods. So the moment you added a small value or the greatest value, it is still in work in process until it becomes the finished goods. And finished goods are the ones that is the very purpose of the organization, because the organization exists to sell these finished goods into the market and make profit. So when we say finished goods are the ones that is a mission of the organization, and we sell this into the market and make profit. So now if you take this raw material, work in process, and finished goods, these three form together as a group because we are doing business using this. But on the other hand, MRO, that is the maintenance, repair, and operation supplies, these are all the things used in the production process. For example, you are using a drill bit in the drilling machine to produce your finished goods. That is part of MRO. And if you are buying petrol or diesel for the consumption, okay, that becomes MRO. So maintenance, repair, and operation supplies to support your production process are called MRO. And then we have distribution inventory. So the distribution inventory is something, the moment you have the moment the goods go out of your finished goods warehouse, which is attached to the factory, it becomes part of the distribution inventory. So any inventory which is owned by your organization, as long as it is in transportation or sitting in a warehouse or sitting in multiple warehouses across a given geography, which is owned by your organization, that is part of the distribution inventory. So when we say distribution inventory, it is the same finished goods, but this is not within your within your finished goods warehouse attached to the factory. So now we have discussed the 5 types of inventory, that is raw material, work in progress or work in process, finished goods, MRO, and distribution inventory. So the next one is functions of inventory. So under functions of inventory, we have safety stock, cycle stock, hedge inventory, anticipation inventory, and buffer inventory. So when we say safety stock can be at the beginning of the production process in terms of raw material, or it could be at the end of the production process as finished goods. And that is the reason we said the inventory has to be defined in these 3 dimensions, that is types, functions, and nature. So if you take a particular inventory that is raw material, which is a type, it could be a safety stock and it could be a dependent demand. So that is the reason we are saying all the 3 things coexist and they are not mutually exclusive. And the thing is, whenever we define, we have to focus on all the 3 things. So now coming to this safety stock. So the purpose of safety stock is to protect your supply side risk and demand side risk. The thing is, like, I may have safety stock in raw material level, so that kind of like my supply side is not disrupted, and at the same time, because of the demand side variabilities or variations, I may be building kind of like a finished goods safety stock. Okay, so safety stock can exist in different ways. And then cycle stock is, this is to support the production itself. That is the reason we call it cycle stock. And then hedge inventory. Being a manufacturing organization, whenever there is a kind of like a price drop, for example, take your one of the raw material is like highly price sensitive. It's a kind of like the price is volatile. That means it moves up and down constantly. So you may try to take advantage of the price when it comes to the lower level. So you will buy large quantities and stock it to support your production process. And the thing is, like, you can save good amount of money as well. And that is called the hedge inventory. Then we have anticipation inventory. For example, like say a firecrackers company or chocolate factories. And the thing is, like, you see, these companies sell their entire goods in a very short period. For example, if you take a firecracker company, they manufacture all 365 days in a year, but they will sell within a 15 to 20 days period that is close to Diwali. And the thing is, like, but for the entire year, they may be producing. And the thing is, like, this is called the anticipation inventory, because the thing is, like, you cannot have that kind of huge capacity to support the demand during such a short time. So you will be continuously producing and you will be accumulating this inventory in terms of finished goods or sometime work in process, and then you will kind of like sell into the market closer to this kind of like duration. And then we have buffer inventory. Buffer inventory is connected with theory of constraints. Whenever there is a constraint within your organization, for example, like one of the machinery is a constraint, and you may build inventory before that, because any capacity lost by this machine is lost forever. So we don't want to kind of like lose the capacity of this machine. So we build inventory before this machine, and that is called buffer inventory. So we have this under functions, we have this 5 types of inventory. First one is safety stock, then cycle stock, then hedge inventory, anticipation inventory, and finally it is buffer inventory. So under this left-hand inventory rule, the third one is nature of demand. The nature of demand, we have independent demand and dependent demand. So what do we mean by independent demand? Independent demand, you don't have much control, and this is about your finished goods. These are all the finished goods or the items you are going to sell into the market. And for this, we refer this as independent demand. The reason is we don't have any much control over this, and actually we need to forecast these things. And the other demand, that is a dependent demand, which is a calculated demand, or it is a derived demand from the independent demand. So now take the example of a OEM, say like a automobile factory, and here the end units, the finished good cars, are called independent demand. For example, like I have forecasted that during the next month I will be selling some 1,000 cars into the market. These 1,000 cars, how do I arrive? This is based on forecasting, and that is called the independent demand, because like I am forecasting that how much I will be selling into the market, and I don't have much control over like the consumers' buying behavior. And now the thing is like here 1,000 units are the independent demand. But if you take the dependent demand, say these 1,000 cars required 5,000 tires, and that is called the dependent demand. So we say independent demands are forecasted and dependent demands are calculated. So in summary, if you take this left-hand inventory rule, it has 3 dimensions: types of inventory, functions of inventory, and nature of demand. Thank you. The 4 objectives of inventory optimization are strategic profitability, customer satisfaction, functional balancing, and sustainability. The benefits of inventory optimization are reduced wastage and inventory write offs. It drives innovation and agility in supply chain, increases profitability of operation, improves the streamlining of processes, and adds value to customers. All the functions in an organization have responsibility towards inventory optimization. The various departments connected with inventory optimization are new product development, procurement, operations and manufacturing, marketing, sales and finance. And all these departments are coordinated by the chief inventory officer. Inventory management body of knowledge is the result of industry need to effectively manage and optimize inventory. The first version of IMBOK was released in 2015, and since then, hundreds of professionals were trained across the globe who are leading the inventory optimization efforts in various organizations. The IMBOK V 2.0 was released in May 2020 and updated with tools, techniques, and Industry 4.0. The current version of IMBOK contains 13 modules as listed in this slide. The CIOP certification process consists of 6 stages such as training, preparation using reference book, preparation using learning management system, publishing a paper on inventory, appearing for the CIOP examination, and finally getting certified. Thank you for participating in this webinar. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. You can submit your questions now and I will answer one by one.
Thank you, sir, for the informative and interesting lecture. Participants who have questions to the speakers can join in the Zoom link provided in the description of the video session. Conveners will selectively pick the question to be answered by the speaker. Thank you.